certainly in a university manner, evaluating things and not just taking it at face value, oh, this is it, so this is true. We'll tell you what it is. We don't have to entertain that it is true. Like a big argument between Muslims and Western scholars has been over the Sunnah of the Prophet. The Sunnah of the Prophet are the traditions accorded the Prophet after the Quran. The problem for Western scholars is just about everything in world civilization has got into those sayings, including things from the Sermon on the Mount. And so Western scholars have a dubious view of the Sunnah, which is what Sunnism, by the way, is based on, the Sunnah. That's why it's called Sunnism. But of course, believers don't have a dubious view of those things. So there's been a huge fight from the beginning between Western scholars and classical believers in Islam over just that one issue. So there are these controversies that are built into the fabric of the material. So I say this for believers because non-believers in the room come in just to find out about Islam, and just my talking here teaches them something about the subject, good or bad or not good or not bad, whatever. As a believer, if you can't take someone talking about the thing you love in a secular environment, from a secular point of view, from a university academic viewpoint, you're not obliged to take this class. In fact, you would be better advised to take a Buddhist class to broaden your view of the world, or a Shakespeare class, or, heaven forbid, a Judaism class. Why take something you think you already know? This class is aimed at people who are supposed to not know anything. It's not aimed at someone to confirm your faith or not confirm your faith. Someone who has a faith, you're going to come in here and say, oh, is he teaching it the way I think it should be taught? Well, of course, I'm not going to teach it the way you think it should be taught. Only you can teach it like that. So you're the one up here teaching, and I'll be sitting where you are. Unfortunately, I have a PhD from Columbia University, good or bad, where the fellow who wrote against Orientalists went. I forget what his name was. He died recently. Blessings and peace be upon him. But he was a faculty member at Columbia where I went. I don't agree with him on anything. I think Western Orientalists are really good. They've been excellent from the beginning, and his attacks on Western Orientalists are totally unfounded and without any justification whatsoever. The Western Orientalists I've met have been the most high-minded and intelligent people I've met in any subject I've ever studied. So I just don't even understand this attack on Western Orientalists. That one guy. I forget who's the fellow I'm talking about. He came here and visited this campus. Anyway, he was a professor at Columbia University. He passed away recently. It'll come to me. My brain is frazzled. But in any event, if you can't take a course in that environment, you should do Hinduism. What do you know about Hinduism? I dare venture to say nothing. Buddhism. University is for you to broaden yourself. So your only reason for being here is actually because it's easy for you, and you just want to see how someone else teaches it. Okay, that's fair enough, and I'm not against that. But don't therefore think that you should object to it. We said in the beginning, if you can't take it, if you don't like it, don't do it. If you do it, you come in under the conditions that we just laid out. That you're prepared to hear someone say things that you may not agree with. That may not compliment or not compliment you, or encourage or not encourage your faith. We're not here to make people believe more or less. All we're here to do is to study the religion, see what it says, and evaluate it in a Descartesian manner, not in the manner of religious institutions. So I want to did everyone hear me say that now? Did everyone hear me say that? So now if we get any undue controversy in this class, you all have heard me say, look, this is not the class for you. We're not here to judge, does Professor Eisenman know Islam or doesn't he know Islam? No, I'm a Westerner who studied Islam. I don't know Islam the way you do. You go, for that, we should go to a mosque and get the imam teaching it. But we don't usually have rabbis or priests or other clerics teaching these other subjects in this university. And often, probably, we shouldn't have imams or others teaching in a university either. Their place, and they have plenty of scope for it, is where they do teach. So now if you want that kind of a class, that's where you should go. Otherwise, you agree to the parameters we have set forth, university parameters. And what we have to do in this class is meet university standards. A sermon, an harangue, is not going to meet university standards. You have to do research, you have to put footnotes in, you have to look and see if the data that you've worked up is accurate. You have to meet university standards. So these kinds of things are what the difference is. So if you feel you can't do this, please, 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 don't venture into an area where you're going to hurt yourself and be hurt and feel hostility and anger. I don't want you to feel it. Now for the non-Muslims in the class, which are maybe, from just looking around, I would assume this class is about 2/3, 1/3 in that division of backgrounds. So I would say now, for the non-Muslims, you say, well, these people already know Islam. I'm at a disadvantage. How can I keep up with them? How can I do as well as they do? They already know it all. Yeah, they have an advantage there. But you have an advantage in that nothing's been written in your mind yet. So you don't have to leave anything behind that might be precious to you if you're going to do a university academic study of these things. Plus, theoretically, you have a language advantage over people who are trained in these things from their native culture. So theoretically, that isn't the case so often, because a lot of people trained in environments overseas in different countries actually read and write English better than many American students from Los Angeles and Orange counties. Because we've gotten so sloppy and so oral that writing and things like that have become marginal for us. In fact, they've done some surveys that college graduates, half of them can't write. And that's what universities are all worried about. I'm not worried about that. So you have some advantages over them, primarily because you're not emotionally attached and your sensibilities are not going to be on edge one way or the other. You see, another person who's come from another training, if one thing is wrong, as related to what they've heard, the emotion starts to rise. The feeling, the passion, the energy, the anger starts to, that's not going to happen to you, with you. And that emotion, that anger, that passion gets in the way of your intellectual objectivity. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Enthusiasm is a good thing. Last word.